shake a tail fin. A bikini babe, catching a road wave. A big surprise, I'm gonna rise and flash my tooth cave. All the buff dudes, safe on the beach food. They're gonna need a bigger boat and barrels real soon. I'm a sea king, a CGI thing. I'm here to eat and bare my teeth and shake a tail fin. I'm lonely and taking a ride. Lured in by your bucket and shove. It's one weakness I can't hide. Take me to your bucket and shove.
Bonjour, mes amis. Je m'appelle Captain Steve. And this week, I have a very special guest with me because we are talking about Under Paris from 2024, directed by Xavier Gens. Yes, I looked up the pronunciation of that for once. But this week, I'm joined by Joe La Scola from Movie Dumpster Podcast. Joe, thank you so much for joining us today.
Bonjour, mon capitaine. How are you?
Je suis très bien. Et toi?
French. I don't know. That's about the extent of it.
Yeah, we're forced to take it here until like grade 10, and I don't even remember that much. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Are you in Canada?
Yeah, because French Canadian, right?
There you go.
Yeah, and I live in Ottawa, so like we're right beside Quebec, and being the capital city, everything's like fucking half French here. Drives me nuts.
Wow, Quebecois.
Yeah, I will say though that the France French sounds so much prettier and sexier than the Quebec French.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Quebec French is like very throaty, like mais oui, like very duck-like.
It sounds like the equivalent of like British English versus like Southern United States English.
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. They brought it over to North America, they fucked it up, and now it sounds awful. Yeah, but as I said, we're talking about Under Paris from 2024, which I've seen some reviews saying and asking the question, is this the best shark movie since Jaws? And we'll try to answer that when we get to the end. But I have some opinions on that, and I know a lot of people do, but I also have some other opinions that a lot of people might not agree with this movie, but we'll have to see when we get there.
Absolutely.
So this movie's also starring Berenice Bejo, best known for her role as Peppy Miller in The Artist, which came out the first year I was in film school, so that was a huge movie when it came out.
That was her, huh? Yeah, I remember seeing that in a little theater, like back before they were doing like Fathom Event stuff, where you would get like independent films like they were doing now, or like, hey, it's in theaters for a week or whatever. I remember seeing The Artist, and it kind of got limited release like that at the time for where I live, and it was great. I really liked that movie.
I don't think I've ever actually seen it in full, to be honest. I know people were obsessed with it when it came out when I was in film school, and I think that's maybe what kind of turned me off of it, is because everybody was just like hyping it up so much, and I'm just like, you're gonna ruin it for me, and now I need to stay away from it for a while.
It's a good movie. I'm not gonna be like, this is a masterpiece of cinema. It's just, it's good. It's very well made.
I'm happy movies like that get made, and I think you guys were even talking about this on your recent live stream about In a Violent Nature, where is it the best thing ever made? No, but these movies need to get made because like we need to show Hollywood like, fuck you, we're not watching Imaginary or whatever else Blumhouse decides to come out with. But
I would take 10 In a Violent Natures over any Friday the 13th Blumhouse remake series, whatever they were going to make. I'm good.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I like some of what Blumhouse does. They've put out some great stuff. I'm glad that they're constantly putting out horror, but they also put out a lot of trash.
I mean, it's always roll of the dice, and it's, I don't really know how those films are picked either.
No.
In terms of like what they're going to put the eggs into the proverbial basket for. So
yeah, I'd be very curious to see like what the picking process is, or if it's like some producer just like reaching into a basket and being like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that's how Night Swim got made, but saying.
Oh, dude, Night Swim was a total fucking nepotism favor thing, because I think dude was like friends with James Wan, and it was like, this is my buddy's script, and this is just, here you go. That's for you. And it's
fuck. That makes a lot of sense.
That's the only conclusion I can come to with that, with how that got put in there. I mean, it's for teeny boppers. Like, I get it. Like, it's for kids.
Yeah.
But, that doesn't mean it has to not have a good story or a good script. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like the one part that sticks out is Wyatt Russell's delivery of the line when he tells his doctor, "We have a pool." And just the way he looks and smiles is so cheesy and fucking weird. I'm just like, what is happening right now? And I'm like, am I supposed to be taking this seriously? Because I can't.
I don't know if they know, when they're making it.
That's true. That movie did not know the kind of tone that it was setting.
Yeah,
Which this movie definitely understood the tone that it was setting. They knew what kind of movie they wanted to make, in my opinion.
absolutely.
So we'll dive right into the letterbox plot synopsis. In the summer of 2024, Paris is hosting the World Triathlon Championships on the Seine for the first time. Sophia, a brilliant scientist, learns from Mika, a young environmental activist, that a large shark is swimming deep in the river. To avoid a bloodbath at the heart of the city, they have no choice but to join forces with Adil, the Seine River police commander. I like that plot synopsis because one, it doesn't give away everything in the movie,
Yeah.
especially towards the end of the movie, which kind of brings me into the poster and poster expectations. I won't say this is like an amazing poster by any means. It's fine. I like it. I like the style of it. But I do appreciate that it doesn't give away everything in the movie.
No, and it's kind of safe. I feel like we just saw this poster with like a lot of the Meg advertising. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. I mean, I'm always down, whenever you show the big shark with the people swimming away from it and all that stuff, it's always a win for me. I think it sells me. I want to watch it for sure. As soon as I saw I don't know if you want to go into that yet or like how we heard about it or any of that.
Yo, yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah. So I was on. I just like logged into Facebook just to check stuff, and Bloody Disgusting popped up, or Rue Morgue, one of them, and they had new shark movie comes to Netflix under Paris. I'm like, okay, giant shark in the Seine River. Okay, sure, why not? So I was already into it. So
Yeah, it's definitely a unique premise too, which I kind of enjoyed. And the fact that it's a French movie, because I've been watching a lot of French movies lately. And especially from this director, he's best known for Frontiers from 2007, which I'd never seen before. So I just watched it the other night, and holy fuck.
yeah, that movie fucking rules, man. That was part of the After Dark Horror Fest, I think. That was his first like movie.
Right.
So that's really cool that he's still making stuff. He like directed Hitman. I had no idea with what's his face.
Timothy Oliphant.
Timothy. I was gonna say Timothy Chalamet, but yeah, Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that'll be the next. That's the next Hitman remake. I mean, he's already been Wonka, so why not?
Oh God, I'm good. Dune was enough. I'm good. Um, yeah, I was excited to see it from him specifically because like Xavier Gens is like kind of like a name akin for me, like Alexander Asia, with like High Tension and the Hills Have Eyes remake and stuff like that. So I thought it was cool to see him doing another like a killer something movie. You know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty cool. Like I expected a lot of blood and guts and stuff from this.
Yeah, that's same here. So after watching Frontiers, I was like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see maybe where people might have been expecting some more things, but we'll get into that when we get there.
Sure.
This has an average rating of 2.3 stars on Letterboxd, and when I looked on even Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, it's the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is like 34%.
I think that really has to do with the first act and a half of this film.
Quite possibly,
we'll get into it. I mean, I thought it was all right. I mean, we'll talk about it as we get into it, but like I could see people being like, "This is boring. This is stupid. Takes forever to get to the thing." And it's like, all right, it's not that kind of movie, even though it's kind of sold that way.
True. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, other than that, let's just dive right into this plot. So we start off with a quote, I guess it's sort of a quote. It's based on Charles Darwin. The species that survive aren't the strongest species, nor are they the most intelligent, but rather the ones who best adapt to change. And that when I was first watched it, because I watched this again right before this. When I first watched this, I'm like, okay, whatever, random quote. But then I'm like, oh no, this actually does kind of make more sense once we get towards the end and she starts talking about the shark and all that. So it does start to make sense.
It starts to make sense way too late for me.
For sure.
Like, it takes a back seat to some other stuff.
Because I did forget about this.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Wait a second, what?"
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause I remember the tee up, but I forgot. By the time the thing comes full circle, you totally forget.
Yeah, 100%. Because like I said, I didn't catch this until like my second viewing because I just totally forgot about it the first time. It's just like, okay, whatever, don't care. But yeah, we start off in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is a real place out in the fucking ocean. If you ever want to go there, don't know why you would, but it's out there. We're following Sophia, who's a marine biologist, and she's there with her husband and a group of scientists, and they're basically tracking a signal from some shark that they tagged 3 months ago or something like that, and I guess it's just led them to the garbage patch.
I don't really know. See, this is where it gets fuzzy for me because it's like, okay, are you tracking the shark or are you trying to save the planet? Like, what is it? Are you out by the garbage because you want to try to save the whales or whatever, like underneath, because like you see like a baby sperm whale that's trapped and that's dead, and it's like sad and stuff like that, and like it's awful,
Yeah.
and the commentary is very there and in your face, but I wasn't exactly sure what the fuck they were doing there. Like yeah, the shark, sure, but I don't know. Maybe they tracked it there. Is that why? Because there was like a sperm whale dead, and that attracted the sharks. Is that what we're trying to do there?
Yeah, because they have seen this specific shark before.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure they're the ones that tag it.
Which is supposed to be a mako shark.
Yes.
It's supposed to be a mako shark, by the way.
Yeah. But then they're also filming that thing on the handy cam where it's like, this is the Great Pacific Patch, blah blah blah, pollution. And like I understand like maybe she's studying the effects of pollution on marine life or whatever. But again, the whole reason that they're there specifically isn't really made clear. They're just there.
And it's kind of inferred that like the food chain is being affected,
Right.
but not really discussed, because it's like, well, the sperm whales got caught in the plastic and died, and then the shark is going to eat the sperm whale that has the plastic in it. And I'm like, maybe it's very tangential at that point. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, they in some areas it feels like they are like heavy hitting with some of the environmental stuff, and then there's little pieces like that where they're just like, we're not really gonna explain it.
Dude, it goes ham at one point. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, it was just like a weird shift in the narrative. Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll get there.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, so they finally track the shark and they go to find it, and they find that baby sperm whale that's all wrapped in netting and plastic's like pouring out of its stomach. And then these sharks finally start showing up. I think they say there's about 10 of them or something like that. And then we see Lilith for the first time, which is what they've named our monster in this movie. I kind of like that they gave it a name, because most of the time it's just like a nameless, faceless creature of some sort. And this just has a name, which I thought was just kind of fun.
It is cool, and like there's purpose to it,
Yeah.
sort of, question mark, because like they tagged it and they're tracking it, but again, like we just said, like it's not clear what they're tracking it for, but it lets it give the personality to the shark and the name. You know what I mean? Because it's like an affectionate name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when it shows up, it is like, I think they said it's like 10 meters long or something like that. And a few months ago, it was like 2 meters. So it's grown like exponentially large.
Like 4 times or three or 4 times the size. So immediately I'm thinking like, okay, this is like a enviro disaster movie, like something else is in this big trash heap or something. It's manipulating the water where, there's toxic waste chemicals or something that's like making the shark get bigger. And it takes a long time to figure out what's actually cooking with the shark.
Yeah, because I still don't understand if they were still trying to tie that to being pollution,
No
because
idea.
they sort of made it sound that way, but I felt like they never really made like a concrete statement in the movie.
There's 3 different things that affect the shark and what it could possibly be, and then one is like, okay, you think it's like the trash or whatever, or like human waste is affecting this animal's environment, which is also kind of part of the second reason. But then it's like it needs to adapt, question mark, maybe something.
Yeah.
And then the third one is like, oh, it's like a brand new species, but we'll kind of tackle that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But they never pick which one they really want to run with, though.
No, they don't. Like, I feel like we never actually got a full conclusion. Although, I mean, sequel maybe, I don't know. We'll talk about that at the end. So yeah, it's never really clear. But then she's got 10 sharks with her as well, and they decide that they need a blood sample from this thing. So I'm thinking it was her husband Chris that was trying to go and get it.
Yeah.
And so he stabs Lilith with a large stick of some sort to get a blood sample, and then she swims off, pretty pissed off, and fast too. And mako sharks are really fast, like they are known for their speed. So um, I read a couple of comments of people like, "Oh, the shark was like just too fast. It's like fast zombies or something." And I'm just like, Makos are pretty fucking fast, dude. And I'm like, and like when you take into consideration this is basically like a mutated shark of some sort,
Yeah.
it's not like that unbelievable.
No, and like I'm fine with the speed. It's just how it kind of starts to think and like choose and make distinctions between certain things. It reminded me a lot of like Deep Blue Sea, but I was like, okay, well, the sharks in Deep Blue Sea, those are specifically have their brain enlarged to extract that secretion that they want in that movie for the Alzheimer's patients. But like this, that's not kind of present here, and I don't think the way that evolution works, I don't know if that's exactly part of it. Like, it
Yeah.
it becoming aware enough to be like, oh, I'm just gonna, oh, you stabbed me, okay, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kill every single one of these people.
Yeah.
Not eat them per se, but like just rip them to shreds.
Yeah, and when this thing comes back around, like it just fucks them all up. And Sophia's just like watching it happen on the ship, and we just see their cameras like going out one by one.
Oh, it was a great sequence, dude. It reminded me of Aliens, and like that
Yes.
always works for me. And I've never seen it done in a shark movie before, so that was really cool. Right, like it's like they have like diving cams in their
Yeah.
helmets, so they're like looking around. So it's like POV, first person, and they get eaten by shark. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome too. And they say that like it's swimming around them really fast. And so I read up a little bit more about mako sharks. And when they do attack, they tend to do like a figure eight around their prey and whatnot, I guess to like try and confuse them or whatever. So I kind of think that that's what was happening when we just kind of see it swimming around all of them. And then it's like kind of taking them out one by one. So I think they actually may have done a little bit of research and like applied it to this movie in a couple of places, which is honestly a little rare. I find they
The Mako's also the actual distant relative of the megalodon, right? It's not a great white shark. It's the Mako sharks that they're closest to in relation.
right.
So I thought we were kind of maybe going there, like kind of reverting or evolving back into something akin to that. I don't know.
That actually would have been a really cool avenue to kind of explore and would have actually
Yeah.
kind of sort of made sense, like kind of evolving, but to something that was like basically king of the ocean way back when. So it would kind of make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
cool.
Because there's that stuff with like the overfishing that we started to talk about into. Oh, that was the other one. Actually, there's four different ways
Yeah.
because it's like the overfishing and the killing of sharks specifically, and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, especially later on, in a bit here when we get the environmentalists, they definitely go ham on some of that shit. But yeah, Sophia dives into the water. No dive gear, basically just goggles, and I guess a spear gun, or it didn't look all that much different from what Chris was holding with like the needle. So I'm not entirely sure what she was planning on accomplishing with that.
dude, when she jumped in that water with just the snorkel on and like went under the garbage, me and my wife were like, "What the fuck are you doing? How are you holding your breath for that long?" By the
Seriously.
way,
Yeah, unbelievable. And like, and you're probably going to be covered in fucking plastic bags. So if you try to breach the surface
yeah,
there, like you're definitely going to choke.
exactly. Or like how I would be, how would you be able to get out? It's almost like ice. You know what I mean? Like how are you going to get to
Yeah.
the top to get to the air?
And that's actually something else they could have done. That would have been a cool shot too, is trying to see them like struggle to get out of the garbage or something. That would have been pretty cool to see. So yeah, and this is kind of where we talk about the shark having some sort of intelligence. And now I do know that I think mako sharks tend to be more intelligent than other species, but this specifically, And I see this in a lot of newer movies. They just did this in No Way Up. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
So there's one point where like a shark comes right up to a person's face and then just decides to swim away. Why? We don't know. Because the plot needed her to stay alive, I guess.
Right.
which is sort of what happens here a little bit because it doesn't outright attack her. It kind of swims and it's like they make eye contact with each other for a second.
It's almost like, yeah, I just ate your man, bitch. What you gonna do? And then like
Yeah.
decides to drag her into the depths of the ocean. Like what?
Yeah, so she tries to take a shot at it with a spear or whatever.
This woman's dead. This woman's dead. By the way, she's fucking dead. I don't want to hear any ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's like this movie's full of bullshit science, and like
Yeah.
that's definitely one of them. Like she is so deep, and like when her ears start bleeding, and then she like shoots back up to the surface,
Ugh.
like which was a great shot though.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, but like,
Yeah,
there's no fucking way. Yeah. As soon as her ears popped, I'm like, do you know how deep you have to be for that to happen? How is that one
yeah,
breath that you took, I don't know, 3 minutes ago still, how are you going to get to the top?
yeah.
You got a lung full of water there.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, when she does come up, she's like spitting blood and screaming out of her mouth, and it's very slow motion. Really fucking cool shot, though. I did
It
like
is
that.
cool.
There's a couple of cool like stylized things in this that kind of helped sell the movie for me a little bit. And again, I think it's just kind of that French cinema because I just recently watched what was that one on Shudder, Infested.
Oh, that was excellent.
Fucking incredible. Yeah, that was so good. Like that actually like made me like cringe at some parts, like with the spiders. I was like, fuck,
Dude,
man.
I don't remember the last time I went, "Ugh," like it like freaked me out and like made me feel gross. That movie did it. So definitely check that out if you haven't watched Infested yet. Or what is it? Velmin?
Oh yeah, I think in French it's like vermin or something. But yeah, that's definitely another great French one. I've been getting a lot into French movies lately. I think I just avoided them for a while because well, one, I'm not always into reading subtitles, and I don't like watching dubbed movies
Oh no.
unless they're older, like kung fu movies or something, because then it just kind of adds to the hilarity of it. But other than that, like if I'm watching a movie, I need the subtitles. Like people have recently been talking about watching Godzilla -1 subbed versus dubbed, and there's a lot of complaints about the dubbed version because especially that one line.
Don't you dare watch that movie dubbed.
Absolutely not. That movie is so fucking good. It like watching it dubbed would just fucking ruin it for me. I don't think I could do it.
It takes away the characters' performances. I mean, they're actors too, doing their thing, So
Yeah, and the one line that people are criticizing it for is right at the very end where she asks, "Is your war over?"
Mhm.
They changed the line in the dubbed version to like, "Are you completed fighting your war now?" or something like that. Like they just instead of just using the same line, which is fucking perfect, they just completely changed it. And I think maybe they tried to make it longer to like match her lips or something stupid like that. And I'm just like, no. I'm like, fuck off. There's no way.
That sounds terrible. That sounds absolutely awful.
Yeah, like whoever supervised that needs to find a new fucking job.
Seriously, man. Again, it's a foreign movie. Don't dub it. Just subtitle it. That's it. That's all it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, after she has her incident, basically her whole team is dead. Although I'm pretty sure there's one woman left alive on the boat that we just never hear or see from again, and they just never mention.
Nope.
Because every time they mention this, they're like, everybody died except for her. And I'm like, no, there's still a woman on the boat that I'm pretty sure is fine.
At first, I thought it was another character, and I'm like, oh, that's not her. That's somebody else with blue hair.
Yeah, I was half expecting her to at least pop up again, like even in that environmentalist group or something, because like that kind of would have made sense.
Or even like at the aquarium.
Yeah, we're like working with her there. Yeah, that would have made sense. So yeah, it's 3 years later, and we see a couple of guys magnet fishing in the Seine, which is illegal, by the way. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And they find a fucking World War II artillery shell, and this definitely comes into play later on in the movie. Very
And it's rad.
important.
It's
yeah,
rad.
yeah. Uh,
Sorry, real quick. I forgot that it was 3 years later, and I'm like, wait a minute. If that thing was X amount bigger since the last time they saw it, like so close together. We're talking a 3-year gap where this thing hasn't become like a ridiculous monstrosity. I mean, it does eventually, but like, I don't know, man. It just doesn't quite line up for me now that I'm thinking about it again.
They could have like because they sort of implied that like if it's gonna keep growing that fast, it should have been much bigger than when we next see it, and
Yeah,
it's sort of not. It's more or less the same size.
yeah.
I think the significance of the 3 years, and again, I think they did their research, is apparently Makos will tend to breed every 3 years or something like that.
Okay.
So I think
Um,
they actually did. That's why it's 3 years. It's not just a
but
random arbitrary number. It's still,
but by the end of the movie, we find out that doesn't matter.
exactly. Yeah. Because I'm like,
And
oh, okay,
also,
so
like,
it makes sense. But then I'm like, oh, yeah, no, it doesn't. No.
we also never get the explanation why this thing is actually there and how it got in to where
No.
it is.
Yeah. We never find that out.
I mean, it's not totally integral, but like if you're gonna,
Yeah.
you lose the thread and you're like, okay, what are we doing, and why?
And there's a few times where they say that the water is shallow enough that they should be able to see
Yeah,
her
yeah.
most of the time. And most of the time they can't. And I don't really know why, but again, that's just something else they don't happen to explain.
And they say it's like what, 5 meters, so that's like 16, 15 or 16 feet at its deepest in the middle.
Yeah.
And what would you say the girth on this big mama is? I don't know, 4 feet, 5 feet, maybe at her thickest. You know what I mean? Plus the fin.
Yeah, so like there's plenty of room to hide under the water. So again, another one of those things where I'm like, what do you mean? Because that water's dirty too.
Yeah,
It's not like it's clear.
yeah, it's gross. Which is why, like, the next thing they're like, oh, how can this shark survive in there? And we got to get it out or whatever, uh, with the environment protection.
Yeah, because I looked it up too, and I'm like, can sharks actually get into this river? And for the most part, like, no, because there's so many like locks and gates to get to this point that it would be extremely unlikely
Yeah,
that it would ever happen. They've had like coastal sharks kind of wash up, but that's mostly when there's been like storms or
and
whatever,
like
and
overflow and stuff.
nothing this big.
Yeah, but we're talking about a
Yeah.
giant shark. It's almost like akin to like like the Lake Placid crocodile somehow getting into that. But that even makes more
Yeah.
sense than this.
True. Yeah. I will not argue with that point. Yeah, so we mentioned earlier Sophia is like actually working at an aquarium now, and when we first meet her, she's basically just getting harassed by two children who are laughing at the fact that her team died. And this fucking teacher does nothing about this. They're like, "Oh, boys." And then like everyone's laughing and like she's clearly traumatized by this. And the teacher's just like, "Oh, are we still going to learn shit or no? We done?"
This was a weird scene for me because I'm like, what is so funny about this? Like I maybe I'm missing the joke, or just like kids are dicks. Is that what we're doing here? Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's what I take out of it. That's what I take out of most scenes with kids. Like, kids are dicks. Like, what are you gonna do?
Because he's just like, oh, I heard your friends were killed by a shark. Is that true? I don't know why it's so funny though. Like, where's the joke there? I don't know.
Yeah, because then the rest of the kids start laughing too, as if this is a funny thing. Like, oh yeah, her whole team died, and I'm like, I don't even think I would laugh at that when I was a kid. Like,
No.
again, what's the punchline? Like,
I'd probably be sitting there like, holy shit, can you tell me that story?
yeah, like that's like going to a plane crash survivor and be like, all your other passengers died.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the joke? Why are we laughing?
Heard you were in a stupid plane crash. Way to go.
Fucking noob. And this is where we first meet Mika, this young, naive environmentalist. And she tells Sophia that Lilith's beacon is active, or she says like beacon 7 to get her attention, basically.
Yeah.
And then so she takes her to their headquarters where she shows that Lilith is in the Seine River now.
This girl is dressed like fucking Coraline. She's got like a yellow slicker on and blue hair. And like, I still don't understand. Like, are they just tracking the shark because it's so close? Did they track it previous to this? Because they're part of this organization called SOS, Save Our Seas. And which they love to say in English. But so the acronym works. So
Yeah, exactly.
so
Otherwise, it makes no fucking sense.
no, at all. So they're like tracking different animals too, not just hers. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they're tracking like any kind of marine life that other scientists or other people have attached a tracker to. Now, I think what they were trying to imply is that the way people were hunting certain animals is that they were also hacking into these trackers, maybe
Okay.
because the girl that we meet, Ben, she says like, oh yeah, nothing's ever really secure if you want to break into it. So that's where I thought they were trying to imply that, because otherwise I'm like, okay, so you're tracking these beacons and then you're like, oh, there's a fishing boat in the area, so you turn their beacons off. I'm like, the only reason to turn their beacons off is if they're tracking the beacon on the fishing boat.
Yeah, but it's made clear in the beginning that they're like, yeah, well, makos don't hunt in packs. This is weird or whatever.
Right, yeah.
So why would there be other sharks around? Because they're mostly rogues. So why would there be other sharks around to find that beacon? I still don't know why the fuck they're so obsessed with this particular shark. Maybe because it's in the scene. I don't know.
Yeah, I think maybe because Mika looks up to Sophia, and so because she said like she's seen like and read all of her papers and
Yeah.
seen all her TED Talks and all that bullshit. And so I'm guessing maybe she just dove real deep into the research and then came across this beacon. I don't really know, because I don't understand why Sophia wouldn't have tried to track this thing, because like she didn't kill it.
Right.
And it's obviously something's fucked up with this shark because it's way too big.
Right.
So I don't understand why you would just kind of leave it.
I don't know. I mean, if I was Sophie, you wouldn't see me back on a fucking boat again. That's for sure. After all that happened.
Oh, fuck that. Yeah.
They say face your fears.
No,
but,
I wouldn't
think
even go
I'm
on a
good.
lake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No. Yeah, thanks. I'm fucking good.
Send a team after him though, for sure. Like, yeah, something's up with the shark. Bring her back or something. Capture it. Study it.
Yeah.
Give the research to another team or something. Especially if you are a biologist, like. You obviously, if you can't continue the work, at least let somebody else do it. Hey, how about that girl from the boat that we forget about?
Yeah, exactly. What about her? She seemed to be all in on this marine biology shit. Like,
Yeah.
and you would think that even like her being a part of the team would almost have like a vendetta against this fucking thing.
Or something.
Like, I was half expecting her to come in like fucking Quint and being like, yeah, I'm here for the shark.
Eating the crackers, dude. Yeah, coming after this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mika invites Sophia to go with her and Ben diving because of some car accident that happened. And they said that like the car crashed and then like there was no body found, and they were suspicious of that. Which this confuses me, because so they're going to get this car or find or whatever, but they make it seem like they believe that Lilith took this person and attacked them. But then later on, they're like, well, sharks don't attack for just no reason. And like, we don't think Lilith is doing any of this stuff. But it's like, okay, but why did you go to the car accident then?
Exactly.
Because you clearly think that the shark did this. So there's a little bit of confusion. Maybe it's just because they're young, dumb environmentalists. And I don't mean environmentalists are dumb. I just mean there's young people out there that do dumb shit when it comes to this. Recently in Ottawa here,
Sure.
2 people climbed up. You know those when you're on like what do you guys have? Like the interstate highways, like I-95 or something, and there's those big signs that tell you like your exits this way, this way.
Yeah.
Those big metal signs. Yeah. So 2 people decided that they were going to climb on top of that, and then hold signs out saying like change the environment or whatever, and then ended up causing, I think, 2 accidents on the highway where people were killed.
Because of like a distraction?
Yeah, because of distraction, basically. And then they had to close the whole highway down. The fire trucks had to go and remove these people from the sign. And I'm like, okay, so your whole thing is like save the environment, blah, blah, blah. Great message. Maybe let's not kill people and distract drivers to accomplish that.
Pay the $1,200 and get it on a billboard. That, rally up the money and then just get the billboard printed and put it up on the side of the highway.
Go protest a gas station. They're the ones pouring pollution in. Like, that makes more sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense.
To the source, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's just why like these characters reminded me of that. It's like they have good intentions, but they're also naive and they're not listening to Sophia when Sophia is like, this is not a regular mako shark or a regular shark in general. Like, you guys should be doing this. You don't know what you're fucking with.
Right.
But of course they don't. They go down, they dive, and we can see that this car just has like a giant shark bite in it.
This is fucking Ben Gardner's boat, dude. I was waiting for him to pop
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
But there's like there's like big teeth marks on the side of the door, and like I really thought like she was gonna pull the tooth the size of a shot glass out of there, but she doesn't. It's kind of all for naught. You know what I mean? Like this whole dive sequence. It's just for us to be like, oh, it was the shark. Yeah, the shark totally bit that car and killed that guy or something.
Yeah, and because they do eventually get caught by the police. Ben fucks off in the boat, runs off, and then Mika gets caught and then dragged back to the police station. But before that, they stop by this. I guess it's like a church or homeless shelter or something like
I
that.
think it's just a guy kicking it under one of the bridges, the underpasses on the scene because like he's just there with like some books and a shopping cart and his little dog.
Yeah,
Which the cops are very nice to the homeless people. They gave him some clothes, they gave him some books, and they're like, "Hey, the triathlon's coming through here. Like, here's some stuff. Now we told you, don't be here when the triathlon people show up." And he's like, "Yeah, we."
yeah, that's the part that fucking gets me. Yeah, because they did the same. Well, I'm sure they do the same shit wherever the Olympics are held, but here, back in Vancouver, they bust all of the homeless people out to a different province, so they wouldn't be in the city for the Olympics, and they just dropped them off.
Just leave him there.
Just fucking left. They're like, all right, there you go. You're now in Alberta. Like, you're not in British Columbia anymore. Yeah, like
Well, see ya. It's so fucked up.
I'm just like, I don't get it. I'm like, how is this? How are we supposed to get behind the Olympics when you're doing this shit? Like, I don't know.
It's all bullshit
um,
anyway. It's a big money maker, so that's what they want. Yeah, they want to put up a facade of clean community fun with there's no bad stuff here. Come and hang out and have some ice cream or whatever and funnel cake and watch people swim down this river.
yeah, everything's gonna be fine.
Okay, walk me through the death of this man.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know what happened here because what we don't see, right? But
Dude.
Sophia goes to this underpass this dude was hanging out at, and he's gone now.
Following the tracker beacon, by the way, because now she's got her laptop.
Yeah, because now she has access to the beacon. Now that Ben has either reactivated it or hacked it. Computer nerd geek stuff is basically her character, so she did something. And she comes across the little dog just barking by the side of the river. She doesn't even try to help the dog, which I'm sorry, a little fucked up in my opinion, but she just sits there and watches it. And then we just see like there's books and like clothing and shit floating in the river.
It's just a CGI book bobbing there. And the
Yeah.
tracker beacon has the shark right against the wall where she's at. And I'm like, how the fuck can you it should be right there. You should see something. But also, like, how did it get this guy? And I'm thinking in my head, like, oh shit, are we dealing with a shark that can like jump on land and like grab somebody and like rip them off and like flop back in? Which would be kind of cool, but I don't know if that's true. I don't think so. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened there exactly.
Yeah, because my best guess is that it breached the water and just took him. But there's absolutely no reason for it because it's been in this river for 3 days. It's only seemed to attack and killed anything that's been like directly in the river. And I don't really see him going into the river with his book. Like,
he's going for
like
a
the
night
only
swim
way
with
his
book. Yeah.
yeah. Like the only way that book is in there is he's holding it, he's on top of that shark, gets him.
Yeah.
But it's a weird thing because we don't really see that it do that sort of thing again per se.
I'm gonna tell you right now, when I saw that scene, I was like, okay. And as soon as we get to some other scenes later, this fucking movie is the Man-Eater game as a movie. Have you ever played that?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what this is. Like,
I got it right here.
100%. Oh, 100%. That's what this is, and I'm kind of,
Yeah,
but that's what I was
yeah,
expecting that to happen.
yeah. I was all here for it. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. It's kind of dumb, but I'm like, all right. I'm
Right.
like, I know what kind of movie we're in for, so
Sure.
I'm looking forward to this. Right. So we get to the police station and we meet. Well, actually, we met him earlier. Adil. He's like the river police sergeant, I think he is, and he's questioning Mika.
Hot cop. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's questioning Mika at the police station, and she gets frustrated and just says like, "Okay, there's a shark in the Seine." And he's like, "Fine, we're just gonna start all over again. What's your name?" Gets on his computer, starts typing away because clearly doesn't believe her. But then he gets called to another crime scene, and it's the body of the homeless man, who somehow died. Unsure.
This was
uh,
no boat
yeah,
accident. Could have been a propeller.
yeah. I was waiting for that line because I'm like, there's quite a few nods, and I'm like, I'm waiting for this line. Yeah, like yeah, it's just a boat propeller.
Or not the mayor, the lady cop, the one lady cop. She's like, it could have been a boat propeller.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm like, oh
Yeah,
boy, here we go.
yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah.
Is it Scene or Sen?
I think it might be Sen. I think I keep saying Scene because it's spelt that way, but I think it's Sen.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I'm just gonna keep saying Scene because that's what I've been saying the whole episode, and somebody can correct me later.
Oh yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, I don't think I have a lot of fans in France, so I think we're fine.
Oh, good. Well, you got fans in Canada though, French Canadians.
True. I don't know a lot of French Canadians listen to me. Especially not after how I just butchered that language at the top of this episode. They're definitely not listening now. Any chance I had of having a French audience is gone, but I'll deal with that. It's fine. Oh yeah, so they go and tell the like head lady cop, Angélie, I think her name is, where she's like, yeah, it could be a boat propeller. Like, no, it's a shark. And like Mika even shows her the tracking beacon or whatever. But she still wants visual confirmation. She's like,
So
I don't believe you
reluctant.
guys.
So
Yeah.
reluctant. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, this guy is clearly torn up. There's teeth marks in him. There's the bite. What's all this bite radius crap? And that's there. I know it is. And
Yeah.
and she has the beacon with the little fucking shark icon. It's like, yep, that's the shark right there. It says, here's all my notes. Do you know who I am? I'm that lady who got her whole crew killed by a shark. Remember that? And they're still like, I don't believe it.
Yeah, they're like, this is the same beacon from the same shark. Have you seen this dude? Like, we see pictures. We don't get a good look at his body in person, but like, we see pictures of the crime scene, and this
Cool
dude is fucked
flashes.
up.
Yeah, there's like cool flashes of it when she's looking at it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like very cool and stylized. I definitely enjoyed it. It kind of reminded me a bit of Jaws when we first see Chrissy, and we kind of just see like fingers sticking out of the sand. Like it's just very quick.
Yeah.
Like we don't see a lot, but we understand the carnage of it.
Oh, you know what it just reminded me of? I just thought of it, and I was trying to remember because it was like flashing in my head. From Dusk Till Dawn, when George Clooney goes back to the hotel and Richie had killed that hostage on the bed.
Oh
It's like the
yes.
same way that it's cut together, where like Clooney's looking at it, and it's like super quick cuts of like the body.
Oh hell yeah. Yeah, exactly like that. Fuck yeah. But yeah, so she wants visual confirmation. So they basically send out a fucking dive team, like, okay, we'll go and find it. They don't really have much of a plan other than go and see if it's there.
Get her,
Yeah.
get her's the plan.
Yeah, like yeah, like all right, we're going to go get her. Oh, okay. Like these guys are river police. Like they've never, I'm assuming, never tried to take out a shark in this river before because this seems like a first for everybody here.
She
So
tells
yeah,
him, she's like, "Do not put those divers in danger. There's a shark in there. Don't
yeah,
do it."
don't fucking do it.
Okay, so they go in there and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sophia goes on the boat with them, and then Mika is following on her fucking bicycle, and then I don't know what exactly Mika's logic was doing this here, because at this point,
This fucking pissed me off, dude.
so she turns the tracker off, which dumb and irresponsible for one, but they were already where the shark was. Like
Yeah.
they already knew that it was there. Like they've seen glimpses of it, and then they kind of say later on, they're like, yeah, there was something big down there. Like we felt it or whatever. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you guys kind of saw it, but like,
Yeah,
no, we felt the
I mean,
presence.
we saw it.
Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah.
There was a great disturbance in the force.
Oh, there sure was.
Yeah. But why turn the beacon off now? It makes absolutely no fucking sense. You should have done this earlier before they got to the spot where the shark was.
The whole reason she does it is because she's like, I gotta save the shark. We gotta get it out of there. They're gonna kill it or whatever. And it's like, I don't think that was ever the plan. And if you just waited, I don't know, 10 fucking minutes, they would have been like, yeah, we're getting the Oceanographic Institute out here. We're gonna capture the shark and they're gonna come and take it out. So like you could have did it. Like you could have did your what you're about to try to do anyway.
Yeah, it's like that, and that's what Sophia's whole plan is later on when they take it. Is like, yeah, we're gonna like try and get it out of here, like lead it back out. Which I'm surprised Sophia didn't actually want it killed at this point. Like I know she's like she's a marine biologist, she wants to save the animals, but she seems very adamant that Lilith is not a regular shark. This is not a regular creature, and seems to have no interest in like fucking studying her.
I was gonna say she's still a woman of science, so maybe she at least I think she wants to get some answers for sure.
That's true. That's fair enough.
She does, but then she's still like fucking nuke it for morbid as well. But we'll get there.
And I remember at one point they confirm the shark. I forgot. Right when they bring them back on the boat, and we saw a presence. They're like, check the sonar. So he looks at the sonar, and I'm pretty sure this is not how sonar works exactly, but there is a fucking shark-shaped picture on that sonar.
There's a shark
like,
bite fruit snack outline on that sonar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, call backups. We got a shark for sure. I mean, you see the whole thing, like the dorsal and everything.
Yeah, like you see the complete outline of it. I'm like, that's not how that fucking works. But also, that's what makes him believe. Finally, is that like that's the cherry on the fucking cake right there. He's like, oh, okay, now I believe you guys.
I think they might have did that because I think the way sonar does work is you would see a big like a spike in size, like a color profile
for sure.
size, but not. I think people looking at it would be like, what? I don't see it. I don't get it. So they had to make it in the shape of a shark.
Oh, 100%. It's 100% for the audience.
Yeah.
But like, if you're somebody, I'm not like an expert, but I'm just saying I've seen like sonar pictures before, but I'm like,
I've watched Loch Ness Monster documentaries. I know what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And I know when they're faking it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it looks like this shit. It's the exact same fucking outline.
Because it looks like the surgeon's photo with the long neck and flippers. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it hasn't changed shape in like 150 years. It's stayed exactly the same. Oh, goddamn. Oh, yeah. And at the cop station, we have the mandatory talk. We have to close the beaches, but money, triathlon. We can't.
I do like the mayor character, though. She's pretty funny. And she's just basically like, you see, this is just my Paris. This is what we're gonna do. There's like, I don't know, something ridiculous. I think she says billions of dollars are put into this, like riding on this triathlon for this to happen. So like the twist here is she goes, we're not gonna close it. However, we'll give you whatever the fuck you need to catch your fish. Okay? Well, I don't care. You can use bombs. You could whatever you want. You got it. Go take that shark out of the fucking river there. Which I thought was like, oh, okay, there's no contention. You know what I mean? She's not going to close it, but she's also like, I'll give you whenever you need to find it. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was kind of a nice change in itself because like she's still a pretty big bitch. She's still an awful mayor. Like Mayor Vaughn from Jaws is just as big of a bitch. Like, you know, because he's probably a little bit worse because like he waited way too long. She's like, hey, do what you need to do. But also, they have a couple of days before this event takes place. How much more do you need to set up in the water for a triathlon? They're just swimming. You might need to set up some buoys, and on the day, you send some boats out. But otherwise, like, I think you can close some of this river down for a day.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they also put up like nets later, like a metal net and like patrols and stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later too, because it's kind of out of left field. Like they're prepared for it because they don't, spoilers, don't catch the shark before the triathlon starts, but
Yeah.
the countermeasures they take are fucking stupid, and I don't really understand them.
No, no, complete nonsense. Like this mayor, oh god, she's a great character, but like she's an awful person.
Oh yeah, there's like boats later with like 50 caliber machine guns on them, like shooting at the water. Like what? I mean, it's fucking awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, fucking ridiculous. After that, yeah, and this is where Sophia comes up with the plan after they leave the mayor's office, and Angeli is like, "Hey, what do you need?" And they're like, "Hey, we're gonna chum the waters, get the shark to come here, trap it in like," and they talk about like some locks or something. So I guess this is like kind of a canal of some sort as well. But
Right.
and then trank it, and then do something with it after that. I'm assuming set it free, put it back in the ocean.
Yeah, they said like the Oceanographic Institute or some shit's gonna be there and just to wench it out, and they'll take it back to the ocean. That's what they say.
Yeah. And right when they're about to go out and do all this, Ben, the computer geek lady from the environmentalist, tells them about Mika's plan. And Mika has just shown on social media and fucking YouTube that there's this big shark in the scene, and she is gonna lead it back out to sea. That's her big plan.
Uh this is where you're losing me a little bit, because like this scene, the way this is shot is really crazy too, because like she's on this big giant screen, and then they're like broadcasting it out to social media, and all these people are like, yeah, she's totally right, we got to save that shark. I don't know how or where, there's not really a
Yeah.
plan, but we're gonna do it. And when you find out where the fuck she's leading all these people to do what, I don't know, you're like, what asshole would go follow this little girl? You know?
Yeah. And like, again, Mika is just young, dumb, and naive. Great intentions, poor planning. um,
I don't even know what the plan was when we finally get there. They never tell you.
no, not exactly. So yeah, uh, Ben manages to reactivate the beacon for them, and then they track the shark to. They look at a map and it's like, oh, it's in the middle of the fucking city. It's like, oh, it's in the catacombs in some underground river or something. And so
Which is really cool. I thought that was cool.
really fucking cool. I'm all about like the Paris catacomb shit. Like As Above, So Below is such a great fucking movie.
I was just gonna ask if you saw that. My wife hasn't seen it. She's a big found footage fan, so I was like, "Oh, honey, we gotta watch this."
I'd say that's probably one of my favorite found footage movies because it's just so fucking good.
It's scary too, man. It got me good a few times. I love this scene though too. This whole sequence is great because when they go down there, because the whole thing is like, it's Mika, right? Is the girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mika's down there, and she's kind of summoned all these people, whoever she could get off social media, to the center of the catacombs underneath the city, with this underground river, and it's this big, deep, like well type chamber, and then like there's one entry into it to get into it. And I guess it's flooded. It's like a flooded out part of the catacombs, because when the cops go there to kind of stop them or get them out of there because they're in danger, they're like scuba diving in there, and it's really cool because like all the skulls are all over the walls and stuff. It's just really neat. I mean, it's the catacombs, but I didn't know there was a submerged portion of it like that, so it's really neat.
Yeah, that set piece was really fucking cool. I really like that. And it makes it really makes this scene fucking great.
It's so good.
Because the cops come in to try and break up this fucking party that Mika's put together. And at this point, she's in the water with a black ball.
It's like a fucking thumper from Dune that calls the
Yes.
worms. This thing is calling the shark to this chamber. And I'm like, what? Okay, so when the shark gets there, what the fuck are you gonna do? What's the plan? Are you gonna like throw a lasso on it and fucking ride it out of here? Like, what are you gonna do?
Because, like you said, this room has one hallway to it and then just that deep trench. Like, the only way this shark is getting out is through that deep fucking trench. Like, she's not going out the hallway.
No, right. And I'm like, but they don't even really say that. Like, if the shark goes down, is there a way to get out into the ocean? Like, I just don't know what her plan was.
Yeah, because also Mika didn't have any scuba gear
No.
with her. She had a wetsuit. so she
Yeah,
could stay warm in the water. But like, what was your plan when you got the shark there? Like, were you just gonna like hold on to it with your fucking sonar? Like,
I don't know. Like, was everybody supposed to jump in and try to pick it up and lift it out? I don't get it.
yeah. And I also just realized it makes even less sense because even let's say that was for some reason her dumb plan, they mention later that this thing is deep, that they have to take like breaks because they can't descend down too fast or whatever because it's deep enough that it'll like fuck them up or whatever. So
Yeah, just like what happens at the beginning of the movie.
she has no plan.
No,
But what she does accomplish in doing is basically fucking everybody in this
killing
room,
everybody. Dude,
killing everybody.
I will say that the setup is stupid, but this fucking payoff is awesome. This scene rules. It's really, really good. It's really chaotic and like kinetic, and it was like I was like, oh god, who's gonna get what? You know, what's gonna happen to this
Yeah.
to these people? So
Yeah, we got some good gore and like we just see people's legs getting torn off, people get ripped in half.
oh man,
Um a lot of the like underwater stuff is obviously CG or whatever. A lot of it looked pretty good though. I wasn't
it doesn't
bothered.
look bad.
No, I wasn't bothered by a lot of it. Like there's the couple of shots that I don't like that stick out are one was the book, the CGI
Yeah,
book floating in
yeah,
the water. That was just weird to me because I'm like, guys, we can make a prop book that floats. Like we don't, you know,
yeah.
but whatever. You want to use your $20 for a CGI book, go for it. And then
Probably.
the yeah, then the first shot or at the beginning of the movie where she's being dragged down by the shark, there's a couple of instances where it looks a little janky, but I'm not that bothered by it, but it's just one of the ones that sticks out because otherwise the rest of it looks pretty decent.
Considering what we do later, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, and I think at one point they must have had like a practical baby shark because I don't think we even mentioned Lilith has babies with her now.
Yeah.
When she first shows up in this chamber, she has like there's two or three of them right there with her.
Well, we got to talk about Mika getting it because I was so happy when she finally fucking did.
Yes.
She's in the middle of the thing. The cops are in there and they're like, all right, everybody stay against the wall. You know, we're going to, you know, single file. There's only one way out of here. Do not slip. Don't fall into the water. Mika's in the fucking water with this thumper. And the shark comes and it's like circling her and everybody's like freaking out. And this shark finally dives to attack because they, you know, how like sharks go up.
Yeah.
And they get you and, or their prey rather. And they're just like, oh, she's gonna attack it out of the water. Boom, right in the mouth, like Deep Blue Sea when it comes out, and she just gets taken. I was so happy that she fucking died. But then everybody starts panicking, and people are slipping into the water and stuff. And it's such a good scene. And there's legs and feet and arms and heads and all kinds of shit get bitten off. And in the process, the cop is shooting at the shark because his buddy fell in and it like takes his legs off and ends up killing him. But there was a straight bullet and it killed the baby shark. That was in the hole with the mama.
Yeah, and like they must have used some practical effects for those baby sharks. Because at one point, like Mika's like holding the shark and whatever, and I'm like, fuck, if that's CG, like that's some of the best I've ever seen. I don't think they must have had like a couple of practical. It was especially later because they do show that shark on like the dissection table or whatever
The
when
autopsy
Sophia's
scene,
cutting it up.
that's definitely a real a practical shark, and I'm pretty sure the one that's in the water that they fish out is practical too.
Yeah, just the baby ones. Lilith is in no way.
No,
I don't think they used any practical effects for her, which I really wouldn't expect them to. Um, I don't know if this was like a Netflix like funded by Netflix movie or if this is like Netflix picked this up from France. You know what I mean? Because
that's what I was kind of
that's
wondering.
very different.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't necessarily feel like a Netflix movie to me. Like this feels like a really like the cinematography in this movie is gorgeous. Like it's pretty nice. It looks a lot
it's a
better
cut
than
above. France doesn't put out shit though. Like in terms of like, even though it's
yeah.
a goofy B movie question mark whatever. Like they always look good. I don't think I've ever seen a French film that I didn't think looked good. You know.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair actually. Like even if it's a movie I don't enjoy, it still looks good, which is at least something, you know. Although at least this movie looks good and actually has some fun parts in it, unlike I don't know, Prometheus. that looks absolutely fucking gore.
Oh, dude, I like Prometheus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like parts of it. It's grown on me over the years. I will say that. I don't um dislike it as egregiously as I used to. Um
I don't like it as part of the Alien franchise. I like it as its
I
own
see. I think that's
thing.
fair. That is fair. I think.
Mhm.
I think if you kind of separate that movie from the Alien franchise, it's not horrible. A couple of questionable parts, like when they're mapping the place and they get lost, but
But like you said, it's a very pretty film to look at too. I think it's fun.
oh yeah, it's gorgeous, and this movie looks good too. I think they did a good job with that. The gore effects when everybody was getting torn apart were pretty good too. Like we see a lot of limbs just like fleshy, um, bloody water, which is awesome. Ben dies. She's not even eaten by the shark. She's like trying to
Oh,
get out of the water, and then she's like kicked in the head a bunch of times or something by like people just trying to get out of the water. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? She's like the one person who like really didn't deserve that death.
I know, I was so bummed, but like that's why that scene was so impactful too, because like it's not by the shark, it's just by people panicking, and that part was really scary when like that was giving me anxiety watching her getting trampled and like smashed and then
Yeah.
ultimately drowned, and then when they're squeezing through the hallway to try to get out
Oh,
and
dude.
people are falling and you see them underneath the water getting like their head stepped on and stuff, that freaked me out more than the shark stuff.
Yeah, that is
Like the shark stuff was cool, but like I was like, oh, like it was like making me, it was giving me a panic attack.
yeah, like you not only have the claustrophobia of a small small hallway and a bunch of people going through it, but it's also filled with water. So when you fall to the ground, like you're also drowning. Like
Yeah,
you're getting fucked twice.
and it's pitch dark, you can't even see.
Yeah. And that hallway scene was so cool when people are trying to swim out and like
Yeah,
you every once in a while you just see one of them get taken out by like one of the baby sharks that swum up the hallway.
yep.
Uh yeah, the whole this whole sequence, the whole thing in the main room, the hallway, fucking amazing. The kind of sold the movie on me.
I don't like how we necessarily got there, but the sequel, I mean the sequence is awesome.
Oh yeah, how we get there is complete bullshit. It makes absolutely no fucking sense. But I mean, compared to a lot of other movies I watch, it makes more sense than a lot of shit. So
At least they tried a little bit, right?
yeah, I mean, this isn't Shark Encounters of the Third Kind. There's
Holy
some
shit!
plot to this.
Oh my god, I don't even want to know.
I can't even tell you what the movie's about. I've done a whole episode on it. I couldn't tell you what it's about. There's a bunch of scenes of aliens and then there's sharks, and I'm like, is this even from the same movie, or did they just take two movies and there's like, hey, look, here's a 60-minute thing?
It's a movie. Put it out. There you go.
Yeah. And then basically right after this whole carnage takes place, Sophia dissects the shark that died from one of the stray bullets, and we learned that it's not necessarily a mako, but it's a new species of shark. She says it like Lilith is the first in a new breed of species.
Which is cool. And I like that take, and now it kind of comes back to the beginning. Now, we haven't lost the thread of that talking about it, but when you watch this movie, it comes so late in the movie, you're like, "Oh, okay, so that's kind of cool though. Like it's evolving, but we don't really get a reason why." And it's like, well, is it because they're being overfished or whatever? Are people overfishing mako sharks? I don't know. But it's caused them to push into the scene and kind of seek refuge to breed, I think. But that doesn't really explain why it's evolved the way it has, because now it's become asexual. It's hermaphroditic
Yeah.
where, um, it doesn't need another shark to reproduce. And she cuts the belly of this thing open, and there's like 100 fucking sharks inside this shark that's not even supposed to be able to be pregnant at this stage in his life because it's still juvenile. I think it's like 2 months old or something like that,
Yeah.
which is cool. Like I mean, that's neat. I like the whole evolution thing. There's this great book called shit, what's it called? It's about these manta rays that are in like deep sea manta rays that end up evolving and being able to fly like out of the water and kill people and stuff. It's a really good book.
Oh, cool.
I forget what it's called. I'll put it in the comments.
Hell yeah, I'm definitely gonna fucking look that up.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. I think it's somewhere along like evolution. It's called like evolution or the something like that. But it's really good.
Okay.
But I like that kind of stuff, and I don't know the ecological angle of this, and like nature getting back at civilization. It's there, but it's really fucking blurry, and it doesn't really nail down which way it's pushing, like what direction it's pushing you in this movie.
Yeah, it like they try to make it seem like it's evolving because of the pollution. Like I think that's what they were trying to say, but at the same time, like it's not, because like you said, it's basically Mother Nature just getting back at mankind more or less. I do like the evolution of the shark.
Yeah, totally. They're like getting smarter. There's for some reason being able to asexually breed and like a lot at a juvenile stage, and like but then like also with the big one like get gigantic. So it's like what it doesn't really make a lot of sense in terms of like why it's doing the thing it's doing, but I think it's kind of cool still, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely cool. But the one part I found confusing, because when I watched it again, she says like as if this has happened before, because she says like the catacombs have this very unique ecosystem because she says like what the sharks are doing, and she's saying that as if at least like the tense that she's using, as if this has happened before. So the sharks go into the catacombs, and it's basically like a hive, and then they feed in the scene and grow, and then they just swim back out to the ocean.
God, that's what she says.
And she's making it seem like there's other sharks that are doing this, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is like the first. It seems like this is the first shark that's doing that, but she's saying as if this has happened before. So that was a bit confusing.
Right. She does say it acts like a hive, and I'm like, I don't think any fucking sharks are like that. I don't think they're not like salmon, right? They don't like
Right.
At least I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure they're not. No.
Where they would congregate in one spot, mate, feed, and then drop the babies, and then the babies go out. Like I don't think that's how that works.
No. But I do appreciate that they made this a whole new species and did try to emphasize that like this isn't what most sharks are like.
Sure.
They go totally like balls to the wall. Because like one of the like things that came out of Jaws is that people were so terrified of sharks that they went out and started slaughtering sharks because lack of information and knowledge. So I like it when movies try to stray away from that a little bit and just try to make the explanation a little bit different than like, oh yeah, sharks are evil, blah blah blah, which is like 9 times out of 10.
That's where it kind of gets blurry, because it's like it's almost like a Godzilla thing where it's like it's our fault, and this
Right.
is created from out of what we've done to the environment and each other, or wildlife or what have you, and they kind of put that on there, but then at the same time they're like, I don't know, it's a fucking mutant shark or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they basically just expect you to just go along with the ride.
Yeah.
They're like, don't think too much about it.
Yeah,
Just go along for the ride, which is fine. But yeah, like you said, I wish they had tried to tie those threads a little bit tighter throughout the movie and not waited so long, because like this does happen super late in the movie for this kind of conversation. Like they should have been having these conversations a little bit more.
Or at least alluding to them, like, oh, it did this, that's
Yeah.
strange, why would it do that? And then I mean we do get a little bit of that, but that's only at the very beginning, with
Yeah.
they don't attack in packs, or they don't kill for no reason or whatever. I think one more pass of the script would have been super beneficial to this.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say that's pretty fair. Yeah, so after that, we go to our wonderful mayor, who is pissed off that like 12 people died or whatever, and still manages to kind of pass the blame off to everyone else, because she's more worried about her reputation and the money coming in from the triathlon. And even when like this other guy, the prefect, comes in, And it's like, why didn't you do anything? And then Angelique is like, oh, well, I told the mayor. And the mayor's like, oh, no, you didn't tell me anything. I assumed you guys could handle it. Which I'm like, those are two different things. I'm like, they either didn't tell you or they told you and you thought they could handle it. So you just lied like fucking twice in one sentence, which is incredible.
Passing the buck.
Politicians are great at that.
It's not my fault. I didn't do it. You did it.
Yeah, it was up to you
Shark
guys
did
to take care of it. Yeah, yeah. And even later on after this, because they all basically get kicked out of the office and go out drinking or whatever, she's on the fucking TV saying like, oh, you know what? A lot of people pay money to see sharks. So, you know, you just come to the scene. You just look, there's one. And then she's like, oh, and our cleanup efforts are working. It means that there's less pollution because we're doing something right. Like, unbelievable.
It's ridiculous. It's a pretty funny scene though too. But this is where they're all like, we got to do something about this. Like we got to make sure this shark doesn't kill all those people, or else they're all gonna die. All the swimmers.
Yeah, because there's a bit of pushback from Aldi for a bit. Like he doesn't really want to pursue it anymore. And then we kind of get some of his backstory of like he was in the army or something.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really need this because one, we don't really explore it.
It's a way for the two characters to relate.
Yeah, because it's like, and we kind of get the sense earlier because he researches Sophia and he's like, oh, her whole team died. And then he looks at a picture of his like army team and he's like, I was on a team. Like he has that look, you know? It's like, we both were on teams. So that's how they kind of find common ground, which is fair enough, I guess. But it was just like too on the nose, I guess.
I don't think it needed it either.
No, we definitely didn't need it. Or if we did, we could have gotten it get much earlier in the movie, or maybe something a little bit better. Because he basically just says like, "Oh, I was too scared to go on this mission, and so they all went and died."
And I deserted them. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and I'm like, what you and Sophia went isn't exactly the same thing. She didn't abandon her team, but I mean,
she went in with a spear gun into the ocean with a snorkel on to fight a giant shark. Under some garbage.
Yeah, so like quite the opposite.
Yeah, it's quite the opposite.
So they decide like, yeah, we're gonna get this fucking team together and we're gonna do something about this. Because the mayor is just leaving it in the army's hands, which again, they have no plan.
Just put boats out there with 50 cal guns mounted to them and a steel net. That's their plan.
And that's about to turn out real awesome in a few minutes here.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, they basically get like, all right, this is off the books, blah, blah, blah. Everybody volunteers like, oh, for Leo. That the whole like, you son of a bitch, I'm in thing, right? Like we get that scene.
This plan is so fucking great. So I'm like, how are they going to get the sharks out of there? There's like all these sharks now. They must be breeding. There must be hundreds of them, right? Or this big one. How are we going to do it? Oh, I know. We'll blow up the fucking catacombs underneath the city. What are you talking about? You're going to bring down the whole foundation of these buildings.
This has to be super deep because the amount of damage it ends up doing is so minimal in the catacombs. Like,
I fucking love it. It's ridiculous.
But they swim down through that where we see Lilith and the baby, where everybody got massacred earlier. So that's their starting point, and then they swim through, and then they're in this ginormous fucking cavern with these big pillars that are just covered in skulls, which is fucking awesome.
It's so awesome. It's like adjacent to this window that we see earlier in the movie with like metal bars on it.
Yes, that's right.
It's where the cops see the shadow at the beginning of the movie. So just to give you like a point of reference where this is, because they end up swimming out of that hole, or that's the plan anyway.
Right, that's true, because they send somebody down to like cut the bars off beforehand, so they could just have like a straight swim through. But yeah, so they start laying explosives around because like that's their plan. They're like, we're just gonna blow it up. Sure, I mean that just seems to be the plan for all like action shark movies. Just like, what are we gonna do with it, guys? Explosives.
so I'm trying to I was trying to figure that one out too. Like, so they were gonna cave in this chamber and that was going to kill all the sharks. That was the plan, I guess.
I guess so, but at the same time, I don't think they ever established where the sharks were getting in and out from this chamber. Nope. Because these divers had to cut bars out of a window to get out of here.
Yeah.
The other place just leads to that big well where the massacre took place. So like where where are they getting in and out from here? Like maybe they should have determined that before doing much else.
They never tell you that. And I love how the plan is just, I don't care, we're going to blow it up. That's the only way to stop them, because if they get out to the ocean, it's going to be bad news, because each of these juvenile sharks is packing like 200 babies with inside them.
Yeah.
And,
Oh.
and,
And
go ahead, I'm sorry.
well, I was just gonna say, like, this is where we get another like somewhat decent massacre scene with these like
It's good.
hundreds of baby sharks.
Dude, it's awesome because they're in this chamber and like they look up and all of these sharks are swimming in excuse me for referencing it, but a fucking like Sharknado is happening like in
Yeah.
this chamber, and it's so cool, man. And they're like, all right, you gotta be, I guess they're like T-Rex, don't move or they're gonna attack. So they're planting all the bombs, and she puts down like this fucking turntable that's a thumper, or a big speaker rather, and they're waiting for Lilith to get there before they set off the bombs. Why they don't wait for the big shark to come, I don't know, but they just set the bombs anyway for 2 minutes, and then they end up not being able to get away. And one of the dudes dies, like one of the babies come down and tags him, and then like there's like a bunch of them that just rip this dude apart, and it's really awesome.
It's so good. And he ends up like dropping the trigger too, and then they're all
Yeah.
kind of like back to back to back, like trying to figure out like what the fuck to do next. And
Yeah.
then I think one of them goes for the trigger and he gets it. And I didn't realize he was the one that was successful in setting it off, because he
Yeah.
dies like immediately after. He gets torn to fucking bits.
Yeah, the black dude like breaks from them and grabs the detonator, and then I guess hits it off. And it's just the hot cop and what's her face, the marine biologist, and she has like this little for lack of a better term, like little torpedo thing that like will like propel you through the water. It's like a little boat, kind of handheld boat,
Yeah.
kind of propeller thing. And they're trying to get out of here as these bombs are about to go off, and they don't fucking make it, dude. They're like right next to the
They're
bombs.
dead. They are so fucking dead. Like,
so fucking dead.
like
There's
we
this
see
huge
like a concussion and shockwave hit them. I'm like, they're dead. There's no way they are swimming out of that fucking chamber alive. Like, absolutely not.
this bomb goes off, and you just see Paris and this giant explosion on the side of the fucking scene, and there's like manhole covers blowing off of stuff, and it's hilarious. It's great. And then there's just a big pile of fucking rocks where the hole was, and somehow they managed to get out, because you see her pop up out of the water, and they're like, oh my god, and the police boat comes over to pick them up.
Yeah, and the police boat does this thing like right after the explosion. They sit there and watch it for a sec, and then for some reason they just do like a fucking 360 on the boat and then park again. And I don't know why they showed them doing that. I was just very confused. I'm like, did they see? Did I miss something? Did they see something? And I'm just like, no, they're just. I don't know if they were trying to make it look like they just showed up to the scene like they weren't expecting this explosion or something. Like, and I'm like, guys, I don't think you need to think that deep into it. Like, you're probably fine.
Maybe signaling somebody if they were still underwater, like, hey, we're right here, like to get their attention.
That could have been it, maybe, yeah. Because I guess that water is murky as fuck.
Oh
so
yeah, I love they pull them up. You're like, oh man, it's all over. The sharks are dead. Fucking mama shark comes out, dude, and just plows the bottom of this boat, and it shoots up like fucking 90 feet in the air, and everybody goes flying.
But doesn't attack Sophia, swims
No.
right by her, and doesn't go after her.
It's like there's this weird kinship between them that I don't even think is warranted or makes any sense. I don't really know why they chose to do that. I mean, I guess because she's like the main character or whatever, but like, stop putting her in situations where she should be dead.
Yeah, because there's a few now that like she 100% should be fucking dead, and she's not, for like, oh well, main character, so we can't kill her. But because yeah, like you said, this shark goes for the boat, flips it over, pretty much eats everybody else off that boat, and then Sophia and Aldi climb on top of it, and they're safe there now. The shark doesn't want them now that the boat's been capsized, I guess.
I guess the shark figured, oh, I hit the boat, I got the two people that were on it, and nobody should be on the boat anymore. like it doesn't know that they're on the boat.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like trying to show an intelligence thing, like it's taking out one of the boats, like one of the crafts that could pursue it or something like that. That's the
I
only other
guess
thing I can think of because there's no other real reason for it.
I'm
But
telling you right now, dude, this becomes literally Man-Eater the movie. This is what this is: punching this fucking boat, and then like the next thing
yeah,
it's about to do.
yeah, yeah. So this next part is fucking great.
It's
We
so good.
talked earlier about them setting up like the steel nets or whatever, and so it swims through one of these nets, and then we get a nice little Jaws reference here. So the top of these nets have the yellow buoys, which look like the yellow barrels from
Yeah.
Jaws, so we can see where the shark's going when it's underwater. Usually I give movies a lot of shit for doing Jaws references, especially some like pretty egregious ones. This was pretty fucking good though. Like I was very entertained by that. I'm like, I like that. And like because it was going to go through this steel net anyways, which would have had buoys on it. So making them look like the Jaws barrels was just is just fun. It's just a nice little
Cool
nod,
little
I
homage,
thought.
and it's like it totally works. It didn't bother me at all. I thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah. And then we get the awesome triathlon scene.
This is
So the
great.
mayor has like just introduced herself to everybody and blah blah blah. And after she like shakes a bunch of people's hands, she like douses her fucking hands in hand sanitizer and then like wipes it on her like assistant's coat or whatever. Like just it's just like a nice little like I am such a bitch, I hate everybody. And like it's just a nice little touch to her
Yeah.
character because it just works so well. It was so fucking good.
The visual storytelling of her persona is great there. Like who she really is underneath all that bullshit that she's spewing.
Yeah. And then so she starts the races off. She shoots the starter pistol, and then everybody's in the water. And we kind of just see people one by one getting taken out for a while in all the chaos of swimmers, and nobody's noticing for a decent amount of time. The shark is getting away with just pulling a couple of people out.
Yeah, the swimmers don't realize for the most part. there's
Yeah.
there's a shot where these people are clearly swimming like on a rig that's being pulled through the water so they can get jerked down in
Yeah.
real time, which I appreciated because I was like, okay, that's a practical effect. But
Yeah.
whoever you're going to make for the head guy swimming, make sure he can sell swimming on this rig, because that one dude, I'm like, man, why the fuck did they put you in front? That guy next to you is doing a better job.
Yeah, it was so awkward.
It was so
Like
obvious that he was like, and being pulled
yeah.
through the water.
Yeah, and they focused on him way too much.
Yeah.
Like you said, they could have found somebody else. But it was still like it still kind of added like comedic moment to it, which was I was actually fine with. Like it didn't bother me. It is still pretty fucking funny though.
Oh no, absolutely. And the levity there to that scene, it kind of makes it too, because the shark is just picking people off, and then finally somebody on the land is like, shark, there's a shark in the water, which it was kind of cool because that's another Jaws reference with the fin coming up behind them. Hey, you kids okay out here?
Yeah. Fuck, I was waiting for that one next. Just shows up in a rowboat with the middle of these fucking swimmers. You guys all right?
Yeah. All of a sudden the leg just falls down.
Yeah.
There's just like all this awesome chaos going on again. So like we had that like tight room before in the catacombs, and now it's like we're in the scene. It's this full big scene, not the Seine River, the scene that I'm talking about. Pretty sure that's next. Anyway. But the chaos here is great too, because there's people on the wall and they're like trying to pull the swimmers out, and people are falling back in. People are landing on people. It's pretty great. I love that one guy. They show the shot like 2 or 3 times, and he's like, "All right, okay." Like the long,
yeah,
eating funnel cake,
so
some
good.
shit. Yeah, but this massacre is it's just great. It's just great.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome. And what makes it even better is when the fucking military decides to come in. And they are just shooting this shark with the 50 cals, and the shark is just like swimming in a circle, and the boat's just swimming in a circle. Like they're both like just chasing each other. Like it's like fucking Tom and Jerry.
Dude, it is so good. This is again, I'm gonna say it again. It's like Man-Eater the game, dude. There's these fucking 50 cows are just shooting in this circle. This boat's circling around. The fucking shark is dodging bullets and shit. It is awesome. And then like at one point, it's being chased by the military, and it kicks up. It like kicks itself into the shells, the non-discharged shells that are in the scene, and they like spin up into the air or in the water, and then they land on their heads, and there's just fucking explosion after explosion after explosion, and all the dams and the sides of the walls in the city are just being exploded, and all the water is rushing out and into the city. It's fucking so cool.
It is absolutely wild. Yeah, all the bridges are fucking blowing up like Bane has just taken over
Yeah.
Gotham.
I'm Paris' reckoning. Yeah.
Yeah. I was born in the water. You merely
Yeah.
adopted it.
You merely adopted this.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, it is so fucking good though. Like it is completely ridiculous, but it is so much fun. Like just
Great.
like you're not expecting it. Like I wasn't expecting like basically the entire fucking city to just now, because after all the explosions said and done, you look out and Paris or France is just flooded.
Yeah, it's
Like
amazing. I like
everything.
jumped out of my seat. I was like, "Holy shit!" And then it's just it's like half. It's mostly submerged, and like half. It's like halfway up the sides of the buildings.
Yeah. And then Sophia and Adil survive again. um, and
Somehow.
they basically just swim to the top of a roof of something, and they just kind of look out, and we just see shark fins everywhere. So Lilith survives because we see her fin, and then apparently a bunch of other babies survived somehow, somewhere, some way. I'm just going to assume that the explosions opened up the catacombs more, where some more sharks were.
These are such cool shots too, because like they take you through France, and you see like the subway is flooded, and the sharks are
Yeah.
coming down and swimming through the subway, and like all the buildings and shit, and through the streets and stuff. It's really really cool, and it pans out, and you get like a shot of like the Eiffel Tower and all this stuff, and the sharks swimming around, and then it just fucking cuts, and it's like that's it. See you later. No resolution. This is
That's
Paris
all
is
you
flooded.
fucking get. Yeah. And then as the credits are rolling, we see a map like with just red lines going through all the oceans and rivers. And by the end of the credits, every like ocean and river is red because these sharks have, I guess, taken over the fucking planet. I guess
Dominated
this
the
is the prequel
waterways.
to Planet of the Sharks, or Waterworld. Yeah.
It's like it's kind of akin to like what do you call Rain of Fire, right? Like the sharks take and the dragons are in the air, and the sharks are in the water. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I wasn't expecting that ending.
No, it's very like a hopeless, like oh shit, we're fucked ending. And which if you watch French horror, a lot of it is like that, which I really enjoy, because you probably wouldn't get a happy ending from this.
Yeah, and I think so that kind of brings me back around to like some of the lower ratings. I feel like a lot of North American audiences especially do not like unhappy endings in their movies.
They don't, and
I am all for a dark ending as long as it works. Like it doesn't always work, but this worked for me.
it was more like uh you want to your heroes survived, they're not dead, but it's also like oh shit, this threat has just gone fucking red, like it's just that's it, it's kind of over. But I don't know, that's cool. I like that kind of ending. It's no fun. It's like Superman, right? He's impervious to everything, and the only thing that can kill him was invented because he got boring, or somebody he
Right.
got sick or some shit, and they invented kryptonite, and they're like, yeah, he's sick because kryptonite or something. But like
Yeah.
I always hate that, where it's completely impervious to flaws or destruction or whatever it may be, because that's life, right? I guess people watch movies to like escape that kind of the mortality of that, if you will. But I think it makes sense. It's like oh shit, that would happen. That's how it would go down.
Yeah, I mean, I was, as egregious as some of the things were, and we pointed out a lot of dumb plot points or loose threads, but overall, this movie was a fucking blast.
I had such a good time with this. I could see why people would be like, this is whatever. There, the beginning, if you don't, how do I put this? I feel like people have lost their attention spans.
Yeah.
And this movie, it's a foreign movie, first of all, one. And two,
Yeah.
It takes its time telling its story. And I feel like a lot of people in like the general public don't like that either. Or North American audiences don't like that either. So it really takes a while to kind of ramp up to the really good stuff. But I think when those scenes come, they're so impactful. Like that's the enjoyment of it, because you're like, oh, we've grown with these characters. We know this guy. I was sitting there going, fuck, not that guy. Fuck, not that woman. Why did she go like that? You know. So I think that's kind of important. And yeah, dude, I think it's getting an unfair score because of maybe that in the beginning, because the beginning is kind of slow, quote unquote, you know?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And what also confuses me is when you watch a movie like Jaws,
Mhm.
it takes a long time to ramp up before you really see much. And yet people put that as like the gold standard.
Yeah.
But then when movies like this come out and we do spend time with the characters and we don't get something ridiculous like a Sharknado or something where we spend time with the characters and whatnot, and then they complain about it. And I'm like, what do you want? What
Yeah,
do you want in your shark movie? Like, I'm very confused because I understand like Jaws is like the epitome of shark movies. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's other good movies out there. You can't just say like, oh, because it's not Jaws. And I'm like, well, if they remade Jaws, you would be pissed. Even if they did a shot for shot remake, you'd be pissed because people would be like, oh, it's too slow. It's too blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
But this movie takes its time and it pays off. It works.
100%. And it's the same thing with like Godzilla. It was the same conundrum with that, where it's like, you know, the original, like, the big guy's not in it that much. It's a character driven story. And then like when the 2016 one came out, people were like, where the fuck's Godzilla? Who are these people? Where's my monster movie? And it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's the thing here. But that's what makes it good, in my opinion, and I'm sure in yours. Have you ever seen Bait 3? I'm sure you have. Did you do
Yeah.
Bait 3D yet? Yeah.
I haven't done it for my show, but I was on the Creepy Crap podcast, and we talked about that last year.
I really liked that one. I thought that was a good way
Yeah.
to do that too, with like the hurricane
Hell yeah.
coming in. I thought that was really cool. It's somewhat like what was like that? What's the movie with the alligators that did a similar thing? Why can't I think? Crawl Space. Crawl Space?
Oh, Crawl.
Crawl. Excuse
It
me.
was just called Crawl. Yeah.
Yeah, Crawl. Yeah, that one was great too. Same kind of premise, but like it works for that. And I feel like this one kind of does a similar thing where it's like dumping an animal in where it's not supposed to be via environmental reasons. It doesn't work quite as well as either of those
Yeah.
in terms of logistics, but it pays off in spades with entertainment and shark hijinks and just fucking batshit set pieces that are really good.
Yeah, 100%. The effects to me look good. I liked the shark effects.
Yeah.
It's done by UFX Studios. They've also done work on Clive Barker's Books of Blood, Guns Akimbo. I don't know if you've seen this Norwegian movie. I think it's Norwegian, called Heavy Trip. It's about like a heavy metal band. It's really good fucking movie, but they worked on that. And they also worked on The Meg. So they have a little bit of experience doing some shark stuff. So
Yeah.
that helps a little bit.
Sure.
Although very completely different type of shark movie, I would say.
I had more fun with this movie than I did with Meg 2, if that puts it into
Oh,
for you.
Dude. The Meg, you mean the Meg 2 Jurassic
Meg
World
2.
Dominion?
Jurassic World Dominion. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Especially if you've read the books too. I know it's like supposed to be blockbusters, summer crap fest, whatever, but like, goddamn.
Dude, the scene where he goes out in the water at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, he's like, I'll just put some water in my lungs and I'll just walk out to that door and yeah, it'll be fine. And then he just does it and he sees perfectly clear while he's walking there too. I'm just like, dude, fuck, I don't know if I can get on board with this.
It's so hard to like suspend your disbelief when you're doing shit like that, right? I don't know.
They also teased a lot of stuff in that movie, like almost like a super suit of some sort, where
Yeah.
we see him kind of using it once and then it just never comes up again. And I'm just like, are you really saving that for a sequel? Like, just give me the suit.
I don't know, dude. But if I had to recommend it, I would say watch this instead if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't seen the Meg 2, because we threw it on and I was like a few months ago, and I was like, I guess I'll watch. I didn't really like the first one too much. I think it's fine. Um, but that second one, man, I was like, holy shit, I don't fucking need this. I should be entertained at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like really did not like the Meg when I first saw it. I was like, This is not for me." Because originally, like, it was supposed to be done by Eli Roth, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
"Okay, maybe we'll get some gory shark movie action," which is what I've been looking for a while. Um, and it just didn't deliver on that. But after seeing the second one, I went back and rewatched the first one, and I'm like, "This isn't half bad." I'm like, "Fuck, take all the shit
Comparatively.
out of the second. Like, fuck yeah, man! Like, this is better."
Yeah.
And the whole thing in the Meg too with like the dinosaurs, the underwater amphibious dinosaur thing. I'm like, why are these here?
Well, that's part of the book, but not. It's not as egregious as that, right?
I haven't read the books yet. I do need to read the book so I can get some sort of comparison.
Yeah, that's like part of it. But that first Meg book is fucking soup. It's so fun. Like it's so fun. And like when I heard that they were gonna make that, just side note because we're talking about the Meg now. Um,
Yeah,
when I heard they were making that, I was like, oh, so excited. And Eli Roth, like you said, was on board to tackle it. I was like, this is gonna be one for the fucking ages, man. And then it kind of became this weird PG-13 whatever picked up by some Chinese production company or something. I don't even really know what exactly the story is there, but it was definitely toned down and upped in all the wrong spots. Let's put it that way.
yeah, like that was the thing. Like I felt like they were trying to cater it towards like the Chinese audience and not necessarily maybe towards a North American audience.
I don't know, man. It felt very like shitty sci-fi comedy deal instead of like a horror,
Yeah,
like or like an action horror movie, which is what I kind of took away from the book. I mean, there's humor in it, of course, but like um
right.
it was like, oh, this is stupid, so we're gonna make it stupid, instead of being like, let's take this seriously and it'll come out better,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably watch any sequels they come out with because I mean,
Sure.
at this point for me, it's going to be kind of like the Fast and Furious series. They're not good, but like with each one, I'm just like, how? I'm like, I need to know what they're doing. I'm so entertained and curious. It's more just like morbid curiosity than it is like actual enjoyment of like the actual movie that was made.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, they're gonna have another big shark come out, and Jason Statham this time is gonna like have a saddle on it, and he's gonna ride one shark. They're gonna tame one to fight the other one. You know,
That
that
has to
could be cool.
happen, or a mech shark. That I'm sure that'll
Oh
pop up
yeah,
at some
yeah.
point too.
Mecha Shark versus yeah Megalodon.
Yeah. As far as like going back to poster expectations, I like that this poster lowered my expectations a little bit and didn't really prepare me for what exactly I was going to see.
Sure. Again, I think I said in the beginning, it's pretty generic, and gives you just a
For
base
sure.
level of what it is, because what's on the poster doesn't happen for a very long time until like the last, what would you say, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the movie. Um,
Probably, yeah.
so you could kind of say that it doesn't deliver per se if you were expecting an hour and a half of a triathlon where people get eaten by sharks.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it works. It works for me. I again, like I said, I saw that article and I saw the trailer. I saw the poster. I'm like, I'm fucking in. We got a brand new shark movie for the summer. I'm always down for that, and it actually looks good and interesting. I think the last one I watched that I really liked was The Shallows, where that
Hell
chick,
yeah, I love the shallows.
man, that fucking movie ruled. I saw that in the theaters with my mom and dad, and it was the same kind of deal. Like, oh shit, new shark movie for the summer. Let's go check it out. And I was pleasantly surprised how good that was. I don't think this movie's as good as that, but it's a lot of
Right.
fun. I think it balances it though too. Like we get your actiony bullshit and your horror in this with a sprinkle of comedy on it. It's well shot. The effects are good, and I think it's a fun time if you have the patience for character building, which doesn't require much.
Yeah, and like I never found myself bored in this movie.
No,
Like even when we're just with the characters, like I'm never bored. Like even if you don't like some of the characters, like Mika is horrible, the mayor is horrible, but
you're
they're
supposed to not
good
like them.
characters. Exactly. Yeah, they did that really well. And
Yeah,
Mika and Ben, I looked them up and like they haven't really been in much of anything else. This kind of seems like one of their like first roles, and I thought they did a pretty good job for that.
everybody was
So
good.
there- yeah, the performances were fine. I had no issues with that. But I guess the main question is this the best shark movie since Jaws?
No,
No, absolutely not. I agree.
absolutely not. What would you say it was? Well, in your opinion, you're the shark master as far as I'm concerned.
So, I mean, one, there's been a lot of great movies since Jaws. I mean, we talked about The Shallows. We mentioned Deep Blue Sea. Um,
Different
I would
kinds of
say
movies
this
that are
is
good for different
they
reasons.
are yeah. So to try to boil these all down to just being shark movies is a little bit difficult because they are so different. Jaws is like action adventure with a little bit of horror in there. Deep
Yeah.
Blue Sea is like sci-fi horror, and this is a little bit sci-fi. And then I guess a new genre is environmental horror because there's a lot of movies coming out where that kind of plays a part in it.
Well, it's not new. The eco horror thing has been around for years and
True.
years and years. So, but it does play into that a big time. But it has pretty equal parts, I would say, of each of those things you just said, and it works well.
I would say this is the best shark movie since maybe since The Shallows. Like not as good as The Shallows, but it's the best one we've gotten since then.
You probably know the name of it. The last shark movie I watched before this, like in terms of like new movies, it was this fucking movie where where there was these robbers who they drop cocaine, they sink by accident, and they drop cocaine at the bottom of their shipwreck, and this woman goes out on her boat by herself and comes upon them, and they like feign needing her help, and then they end up like taking her boat over, and they want her to dive for the cocaine that's in this boat. But the problem is there's a killer shark circling the boat down there. I forget what the name of it was, but I was like, oh, this should be a good time. Man, I fucking hated that movie. Like it was real bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Deep Fear from 2023.
Deep Fear, is that what it's called?
Yeah, and it has like the I can't she's a model. I can't remember what
Yeah.
country she's
Oh my
from.
god, dude. I
Yeah.
was like, this is terrible.
Yeah, like when I first watched it, I didn't mind it, but then after a while, I'm like, this isn't really that good. And also, the trailer, they almost tried to market it as a cocaine shark
Shark movie.
movie
Yeah.
because there's one line in the movie where she's like, yeah, the shark's all hopped up on cocaine. And I'm like, yeah, that's for one part of the movie. And then we never touch that part of the subject ever again.
No, it bites a bag and then like tries to get in where she's like hiding in I don't know. It doesn't really make sense. But
No.
not in a good way, right? Not in a fun way, rather.
Yeah, yeah. This movie has a lot of shit that doesn't make any sense, but it was fun, and
But
I
it's
was
fun.
fine with it.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm definitely along for the ride. And this does give me hope for newer shark movies because a lot of the ones, even some bigger budget ones, like I just watched Something in the Water, which just came out this year.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen
It's
that one.
it's not really a shark movie. Again, it's more of like a survival movie, and there happens to be a shark around, I guess. And it's just, I guess it is more character driven, but there's not really anything that interesting going on. And it's just kind of like an open water situation where they're kind of just floating around there.
That's the problem, I think. I mean, I'm sure you've talked about it before, but like that's kind of the problem with most shark movies or most killer animal movies is like you have to have a good cast of characters and a good story because the shark isn't going to propel the fucking movie. You know what I mean? You have to have all like you said Jaws. We brought it up a million times. The reason that movie has uh, done so well and kind of stayed in the zeitgeist is because there's good characters. There's likable characters. Quint's amazing. Hooper's amazing. Brody's amazing. They all have their own quirks and things like that, and they all fit together into this bigger piece where they're fighting a bigger, problem. You know what I mean? That's why that movie's so good. And the shark stuff is just like the sprinkling on top. That's the good stuff. You know what I mean? It's the scary monster, but what makes that movie good, in my opinion, is all of the character arcs and stories and stuff like that.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's important, I guess, is my point. And this movie kind of does that. Not the same way, but it does that. Just like The Shallows does that as well, because most of that movie, we're following this girl trying to get off this rock so she can get back home and having memories of her family and I believe her sister or something. I can't remember exactly, but it was really good.
Yeah, and like we spend time with one character in The Shallows, basically. And again, that's another movie where
But we get more exposition.
yeah, and I'm not bored with it. It
No.
just it works. And it's not a lot of gore in that movie either, but we get a little bit of blood here and there, but we get something, like we do get, yeah, it does come, which was great. Like I don't need like a Saw or Hostel style shark movie where it's like fucking blood and limbs like for an hour and a half. But this movie gave me what I have been craving. Like I just needed to see some carnage, some blood, some something that like I actually believe this is a dangerous animal.
Oh, big time. Yeah. And there's some great kills in this. They're I wouldn't say few and far between, but like there's two big sequences and then there's a couple little ones in the middle. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it satiates the appetite for that big time, and like it makes it scary on top of more than just the shark in that underground scene. That really works. And that sequence for me is the best part of the movie, and that really works for me. Even though the end is like batshit crazy, the best part I feel like is in the catacombs attack.
Oh, 100%. And especially when they're diving under there and it's just the red light lighting everything up. Like that's so good. Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts on this movie overall? Anything else you wanted to mention?
I would say, like I say on my show, man, fucking don't. I mean, you're listening to this podcast and you're listening for our opinions, but don't take people's opinions as gospel. You can look at Rotten Tomatoes or whoever the fuck is saying whatever about a movie, and they could say it sucks or whatever, but you're not gonna know unless you watch it. You know what I mean? Take the chance. Give it a spin. If you got nothing to do on a Friday or Saturday night, this is a blast. It's summertime, baby. It's the best time to watch a killer shark movie, and I think this is a good one for this year, for the summer. It's in French, so you got subtitles, but get over it. Read the subtitles. It's not a huge deal.
And I think if it's on Netflix and you're really struggling that hard, I'm pretty sure you can get it dubbed on there as well.
Oh, you can? Well, if you want. I think that's going to definitely add to like.
If that's your thing, like it's not my thing. I don't like as we talked earlier, I don't like the dub shit. But if I do think this movie is worth seeing, it just don't take it super seriously.
Yeah, I think if you watch this movie dubbed, it's going to have a whole nother layer of kind of B movie stink on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it's a blast, man. It's a good time. Don't definitely check it out.
Yeah, I could not agree anymore. This was definitely a blast. I think this is probably my favorite movie I've covered this year so far. Yeah, just it gave me everything I wanted. Like I had a good story, I had good effects, I had some gore, like all the shit that I talk about. Now, granted, there's a lot of other movies I watch that are completely batshit fucking crazy that are an absolute blast too. But for more like tamer movies, if you will, this just gave me everything I wanted. Like I have very minimal complaints about it. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but I mean, it's the right kind of ridiculous for me. I don't know what it is. I also felt nostalgic for this movie, and I don't know why. I feel like it just reminded me of some other movies like when I was a kid and just being really invested in it. And maybe it's just a movie hasn't made me feel like that in a long time. I don't really know, but yeah, I this is one I definitely recommend, and I think I'm probably going to give it like 3.5, maybe even 4 stars on Letterboxd, just because I enjoyed it that much.
Wow, there you go, man. Yeah, it's a good recipe for the right feeling. You know what you want
Yeah.
out of it. Yeah.
Do you think they'll do a sequel to this, or do you think they're going to leave it?
If they're smart, they won't.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
but they're gonna. Well, actually, people would say, well, if they're smart, they're gonna make more money and make another one. But I don't know. I mean, I don't need another one personally. Will I watch another one? Sure. But like again, I like when movies were just movies and that was it. You know. I know that sounds kind of weird and shitty, but like, and because I love a lot of sequels that we've gotten over the
For
years,
sure.
but like I don't know, it worked. It felt good, and it's like I kind of want to just be like, cool, you know, because we're no longer under Paris. Is that it's going to be over Paris, right? And
Yeah.
according or just over under Paris, right? But you had said like at the end with the map, and it showed it spread across the world, and it's like, well, okay, now is it just? I mean, I guess you could do it in a way where like it's a completely different story, completely different characters, and like having their own battle with sharks in a flooded home, which actually I renege. That'd actually be pretty good.
Yeah, I was just like that. I would watch a sequel like that. If it's completely different, it's like the aftermath of this Paris thing. And the sharks are starting to take over the world, and they just kind of allude like, oh, well, it started in Paris, blah, blah, blah. And then we get
yeah,
something like people trapped in a house or something like that.
kind of like what they're doing with A Quiet Place, that prequel, how it like starts and you
Right.
kind of see it in like a different scenario kind of thing. I think that's cool. Dealing with the same problem in a different place with different characters and a different story, I think would be a strong way to do it if they decide to make a sequel. Big time.
100%. Because I can't see where these characters are going to go from there. They're pretty fucking stuck as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
So
just like as a side note too, like they're making a sequel to Prey and with the same characters. I'm like, that's not what I want personally in a Predator movie. Like what makes Predator so good is that they're different stories in each movie because there's a planet of these aliens that come and they hunt us. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of us and there's a lot of predators. I don't need a direct sequel to that. Make another Predator movie with new characters, a new predator, new place, new setting, new time. I think that would be cool. I think that'd be more interesting. It rather.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. 100%. Um, Yeah, I think that's going to do that for this episode. But why don't you tell people who you are, where people can find you, and about Movie Dumpster?
Yeah, man. Well, I'm Joe La Scola. As we said in the beginning, I do a show called Movie Dumpster with my buddy Sean O'Rourke. You can get it. We do all kinds of movies. We do mostly horror movies. It's horror movie forward, but we do all different kinds of movies, mostly forgotten gems stuff, action movies, weird kids movies, comedies, little rubber monster movies, all kinds of good stuff like that. And you can check us out at moviedumpsterpodcast.com. If you're watching here on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. You can just at Movie Dumpster, at Movie Dumpster on all your social media platforms, whether that's X or Facebook or Instagram or all of that. And yeah, and we got a Patreon if you're interested in that, where we do commentary tracks and live watch-alongs, where we're actually going to be doing a watch along of Freddy's Dead. Depending on when this comes out, it might be right at the end there, but we're going to be doing a watch along of Freddy's Dead in 3D, so that's going to be a good one. Yeah, check us out, see if you dig it, and make sure if you haven't liked or subscribed to Bucket of Chum, what are you doing? You better you better hit that like button and subscribe, and share this video too. But yeah, check out Movie Dumpster.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've probably mentioned your show on the podcast before, but I'm definitely a fan. I love what you guys do. It was actually a friend of mine, Benji. If you're listening, we were supposed to watch a movie tonight, and I canceled because I wanted to do this instead.
Do you get a free
Yeah,
pass because you're doing it with me?
yeah, he's gonna be pretty excited because he introduced me to Movie
so cool.
Dumpster. He's the one who told me about you guys. So Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. But yeah, go check out Movie Dumpster. You guys know you can find me on all the social medias. That's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Slasher, all at Bucket of Chum Podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you could hit that like, subscribe, and if you're listening, if you could leave a 5-star review, a written review, that would be greatly appreciated. But that's it for me and Joe this week, and I will see you guys next time for more Bucket of Chum.